Welcome to our Behind the Content series, where I, Mariam, chat to some of our favorite content creators in the BB community. In this episode, I'll be talking to Charlotte, aka Memoir and Musings, on her content creator journey. Thank you for joining me, Charlotte.
Thank you for having me. This is a great way to spend my evening talking about content, talking about like what I love doing outside my 9 to 5. I'll probably start with a little bit of introduction about myself.
Perfect.
I'm Char, I'm 30 something, based in London, been London based my entire life. My content is primarily my blog, but I've been branching out into other video forms of social media like TikTok and Instagram. But enough about that. My platform is about affordable solo travel and beauty for those of us who have a 9 to 5.
Yes. Like, I've probably been aware of your platform for like what feels like the beginning of BBB. I feel like you're one of like the OG like content creators on the platform. So, and one thing I always think about your platform is the consistency is crazy.
Thank you so much. Like, I don't even think I'm consistent, which is crazy because I'm kind of a bit of a post when I feel like it / jump on a trend kind of content creator. I'm not the kind of content creator who goes out and shoots content specifically for my blog. I fit content into my life rather than fit in like going out of my way to do stuff, because I feel like that's how it works for me. And I guess I have been doing it quite a while, but I always say it's just very ad hoc. I'd say like in some way, shape or form, if you're part of the MySpace generation, you're kind of like an OG content creator, because we were, updating music on our MySpace page, editing those HTML tags. So yeah, I'd say I've been a content creator like in some way, shape or form for at least 15 or 16 years. It sounds crazy, but like in some way, shape or form.
Yeah, like I know what you mean about the MySpace generation, because that was definitely my reality. Because to be honest, like we don't really give credit to those like OGs, because to be honest, like those are the ones. They were the first introduction to like building an entire brand for yourself online.
And
like
also
that's what it
like,
felt like to me.
yeah, also like the creativity of having your own MySpace. It was like the blueprint for blogging in some way where you'd edit your song, you'd edit your top friends, you'd edit what you like, you'd edit your page. So, I feel like those are like the blogger origins for me.
I think, yeah, I would have to agree. That's giving me a lot of food for thought, actually. I was like, yeah, put some respect on MySpace name. So when did you start creating content as Memoirs and Musings?
So I would say I started Memoirs and Musings in 2014. I always feel like it starts with a breakup, but I just like would say that I really wanted to document my travel and my 20s. So it kind of started then. And yeah, it's kind of evolved from there. Like I always kind of went into it as documenting my travels, and I never really thought that, oh, could be like a really good side hustle, meeting different people, having like really different experiences that I wouldn't normally put myself into. So I guess it's kind of evolved into a side hobby / hustle at the same time.
So it's interesting that when you started it, your motivation was like, I just want to document. Were you thinking document for me? Were you thinking document for others?
It was definitely for me. And then I never really realized like, oh, it could be for others as well. And like I could help people in some way. And this is gonna make me sound really old again, but I don't know. Do you remember LiveJournal?
Yes. Oh my God.
Okay.
30 somethings group chat.
I had LiveJournal when I was like 16 or 17, and I used to use that as my like online diary. So even though it's public, it was still for me. And I'm also of the belief that when it comes to my content, I put out content that I kind of, I don't know, I would be happy to share with the world. And in a social setting, I don't put out anything that is too personal in my view. There is some kind of editing to it, but then the lines blur between, authenticity and being an edited reality online. That, I guess that's a story for another day. But yeah.
Yeah. No, but I know we said a story for another day, but I do think it's very interesting when you talk about boundaries,
Yeah.
especially for content creators, because you've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
And I think there's a certain amount of, I want to say, exposure that's expected now. That
Yeah.
I think if you had done that for like 10 years, you probably would have burnt out,
Agreed.
because it is a lot to put yourself online and have other people dissect it and explore it and like discuss it. So I
And
think, yeah.
yeah, and I also think if you do put yourself online, there is a certain element of criticism or up for discussionism. So I
Mm.
think an example is YouTube couples. When they break up, like I should be notified because I've invested so much time in the breakup. So why haven't I been notified? But then I respect that, things end and you don't need to explain yourself. But I think putting yourself online comes with an element of vulnerability, like you're sharing something with the world about yourself that is open to debate. Whether it's me sharing my travels, people will always ask me, like, I feel like when it comes to sharing travels, it's a thing of like, how do you feel that? Are you always traveling? Are you a full-time traveler? And I'm like, I only show you what I post. I think
Mm.
there's an element of like, you want to know more about that person. You want to know what they do. You want to know where they live. And I kind of boil things back down to safety as well.
Mm.
Not showing your local area a little too much, not showing, certain things that people can build up a pattern about where you live, who you
Mm.
are, where you go, because there's evil people out there. And I think there needs to be a curated reality online that you're comfortable with as a content creator.
Mm. Absolutely. Yeah, definitely having those boundaries in place. And I think it takes time and it takes experience like you have to kind of decide for yourself what those boundaries are, what your limitations are, and like feeling like you can pull back as well. And I
Yeah,
think one thing I like about your content is that there is that familiarity, even though you've got that boundary, there is that familiarity within your content. Like I feel like you're really friendly online,
thank you.
but like not so much where I feel like I'm in your business. But
Yeah, I think like that comes back down to like I really have boundaries when it comes to like online socials. I don't share my family. I
mm,
don't share where I live. Like even saying I live in London is too much for me. Um, and I don't show like I don't do a day in the life of me at work because those are not relevant to the content I'm sharing. So um I'm like my online persona, I might overshare every now and then or just something in particular relating. I always kind of bring it back down to like my content, like
mm,
always has to be back down to content for me simply because I am human, but I also have my own boundaries, which I don't feel comfortable sharing certain things. I don't need people to do a deep dive on, trauma. Like
mm,
it's not my brand. And I think anyone going into it needs to have I guess, treating themselves as a business. And I really live off the view if you're not comfortable with something being blown up on a billboard online about you, do not post it. And I've always kind of been like this.
mm. That is sage advice. So with your career being as rich as it has been, and as long as it has been, I know it's gonna be hard to narrow it down, but what has been a highlight for you?
Oh, okay. This is a really good one. I feel like the past year has been really like pivotal in I wouldn't say I am a big content creator at all. I feel like I have a small platform and that's okay. Like I've never gone into it for numbers. I've just gone into it where I love travel. I love documenting my travels. But in April, I went on my like first international press trip with a brand that I have had an organic relationship for the past couple of years. So I had the opportunity to go pretty much anywhere I wanted with a brand called Jack's Flight Club. They do like
Okay.
really cheap flight deals, and I was posting about them in 2019 where I went to Tokyo for £300, and I've
Mm.
just had like a really organic relationship with them, and when I got that email I was like, oh my god. So like I would say that's been like one of the best things. And I've also done some sponsored content in London in collaboration with a couple of hotels, which has been amazing. So I'd say those are like my most pivotal have been in the past year,
Mm.
especially
Oh,
coming main thing you couldn't no one could move. So like knowing that things are picking up and getting back to normal, um and I've been able to benefit of that has been amazing.
yeah. So you froze a little bit there.
Oh,
So yeah, I'm just gonna, if you could just repeat like the last bit about basically once you got the collaborations and what that kind of felt like for you.
oh, let me backtrack. So once I got the collaboration with Jack's Flight Club, I kind of was like, oh my God, okay, cool. I'm being flued out, as social media would call it. And I'm kind of the view that like I have worked hard. Sometimes I feel like there's an element of imposter syndrome, but everyone is deserving of, recognition, um, and like just being able to do what I love. And
Mm.
yeah, in obviously, and it's not a full-time job for me.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that is so amazing. And first of all, congratulations.
Thank you so
Like, I
much.
love when I hear people like, yep, they got flued out, got like big sponsorships and stuff, because I think one, we don't hear that much news like that from within our community, especially from like
Really,
the British side as well. Like a lot of the big successes you actually do see for like the Black community tend to be US based. So
yes.
absolutely amazing to see it for like a Black British content creator. We love it.
Thank
Um,
you.
and also, I want to like highlight the fact that this has happened for you in the last year, and you
Yeah.
have been creating content for almost 10 years at this point.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for people listening to kind of be aware of how much effort and consistency goes into being a content creator and getting those experiences. And some people do like it happens for them sooner, but some people it
Yes.
takes a little
Agreed.
longer. But every journey is valid.
Agreed. I completely agree. Completely agree. Like everyone's journey is different and you can't really compare yourself to another content creator. Like I do compare myself sometimes to content creators in my community and ones that I sort of had the time to dedicate all of your time to something. Obviously, the fruits of your labor will pay off. But the fact that I've done it where I work full time, I've got, I live in London, there's always something going on, like social life and all of that has been amazing. And I completely agree. Like comparison is the enemy of joy. And, it will happen for you. You just kind of just have to put in the work. And you're right, consistency is key.
Mm-hmm.
But then that circles back to like, your mental health as a content creator and being creative in general. Burnout and being a creative go hand in hand.
Yeah, it's like
Hand in
best
hand.
friends.
Like, and that's why it's like it's important to take breaks, but sometimes you can't take too long of a break because
Mm-hmm.
you'll jump back on socials and you're like, what's going on today?
Mm-hmm. So would you say that has been the most challenging part about running your platform, dealing with that kind of creators burnout?
So in a way, yes, but at the same time, no, because I still try and remain present. I know it sounds crazy, but like I don't feel like I ever really took a break over the past 2 years, other than when I actually travel.
Mm,
I think the pandemic allowed me to have a break in terms of that. What I post about, which was travel, I had to look at it through a different lens. I
mm,
still was able to remain consistent from a view of like, okay, how can I change my perspective on something that has completely changed for everyone and somehow like, still maintain some element of enjoyment out of it. And um yeah, that was quite hard. But taking breaks, I'm a bit like taking breaks, but you have to take breaks in a way that, you know, works for you.
mm. Absolutely. Like I am a big advocate of like so the mental health and wellness within the creator space is not
Yeah.
something that's discussed that much.
No.
I think it's something that people are afraid of discussing or even putting out about themselves because the feedback will largely be like, well, you don't have to do that. And
Mm.
it's like, for a lot of people, it's not just like a side hustle or their full-time job. It's the thing that motivates them and keeps them going.
Yeah.
So when the thing that you love suddenly becomes the thing that burdens you, it's a really difficult space to be in mentally. So I can understand how it can be challenging to find that balance between I need a break, but I also need to do this as well.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of creators could probably relate to that sentiment.
No, it's so difficult as well, especially with like the different facets of content. So you've got video, you've got audio, you've got written. Have I missed anything else? Those are like the main three.
Yeah.
And you won't go on TikTok for a week, log back in. You're like, what is this trending sound? What is this? Like Twitter conversations always happening. Instagram is like a mesh of the two. It's a difficult one. But also like, we're all human at the end of the day as well. And I think vulnerability and mistakes is what makes us unique, and also it makes good content. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I think you're really good at being active across the board. It's like I think you're very unique in that space because I know that a lot of people pick like one platform to focus in on and then sort of basically redistribute their content in a way.
Yeah.
But with yours, I always get the sense that you're literally present on everyone. I'm just like, oh, she's here. Oh, she's here. Oh, wait, she's here as well. So it's almost like 360 content, like wherever you go. It's like, because I saw your Beyonce posts and I saw like you had a blog about what's in Tottenham, like around the concert. Then you had like vlogs on like Instagram and TikTok of different concert experiences. And I was like, you are really good at like taking one experience and just like splashing it across.
You know what it is? I think like it's having an overarching one piece of content and distributing it on different platforms in a way that works at each platform. So I know Tottenham very well. So I was like, okay, Tottenham, Beyonce, Tottenham. How can I make this kind of work for me? And also I was like, I got to get my numbers up on my blog. My blog's dipped a bit because I've been going video first and I need to kind of get back to like, I'm a writer through and through. Like video content is just here today, gone tomorrow. And I am a believer in like, okay, I've done the blog post of Beyonce. I'm just going to screen record the blog post and throw it on TikTok. It's taken me like literally 30 seconds. And then obviously I attended those concerts. For me to like create a reel or TikTok, can't lie, I'm very quick. So like an example is yesterday, I went to this like Sex and the City Experience London pop-up. I was there for like 15-20 minutes. I kind of knew all the shots I wanted to get. I edited it on the train home, threw it up within sort of like 2 hours of me leaving the event. So I think when it comes to like creating content and being present on all platforms, you can't be present on all platforms because it's impossible, but you can be present in a way where you can repurpose, recycle all of your content on different platforms so it looks like you're present on all platforms, if that makes sense. So I would say pick your main one. So it might be your blog as your like main one, or it might be your TikTok, and just redistribute, recycle, think about, okay, cool, I've written this blog post. Great. Now I have like 3 or 4 Instagram captions and you can just throw it up with a picture, because I'm of the view that there's people out there making, I personally think, mediocre content and just putting a cloud emoji and they're getting huge brand deals. So, sometimes the lesson is never try, but also don't overcomplicate something that is here today, gone tomorrow, because social media and content moves so fast that, I'm all for putting effort in, but in the beginning stages, make sure you're having fun as well.
Yes, I do believe in the experiment a lot phase.
Agreed.
I'm like, if you have an idea, just try it. Don't worry about it being perfect. It's not going to be. Just do it.
Yeah.
And learn from it. And then if you like it, do it again. But if you don't like it, then you can drop it and know that it's not going to last more than 15 minutes on the internet. So
exactly.
You can have fun with it.
And also like, sometimes don't feel like you need to do what everyone else is doing, because I was in a phase like recently where I was just like, I really tend not to post London content because I live in London. my feed is full of people doing things in London, and I'm like, I don't feel inspired here. So I've got London content. I just don't tend to post it. I post it when I'm like, I might throw something up Londony today. Um, I just kind of don't feel like you need to do what everyone else is doing. And again, experimenting is having fun as well. So like on TikTok is really good for like inspiration. And depending on like what you're into, you might be like really love the way things look. So cinematography is an art in itself, and it's amazing what you can do with like a free app and footage you already have in your phone and a bit of text. Like, I think at the end of the day, content comes back to storytelling and what story do you want to share to the world?
Amazing. No, I really, really appreciate like the advice you've shared in this segment as well, because I think for people looking to achieve consistency, I do think a big part of it is learning how to turn one bit of content into 10
Yeah,
and knowing how to be efficient with your time.
yeah,
So I'm really glad you've kind of pointed that out and also given like really practical tips as well.
yeah.
Um, so would you say that's also played a part in your longevity as a content creator?
Um, I guess so, because I'm team evergreen. I don't think I ever said this, but I actually am team evergreen content. So like if you look through my Instagram feed or on my blog or like just on most of like my video socials that I have, I actually repurpose things a lot. So an example would be I wouldn't post content on things to do in London in summer in June 2023. It just doesn't work for me because it's going to be irrelevant in a year's time. I'm going to have to go back in a year's time and update all those things to do in June 2023. I might just do content where I niche it down. So like 10 things to do in London if you love, I don't know, Harry Potter. Like that's a
Mm.
niche in itself. So I'm team evergreen and niching down. So like don't just show me 5 brunches in London. Show me 5 brunches in London. If you don't drink or if you have a particular I don't know, particular cuisine that you like. I think niching down and evergreen is where people kind of forget they try and do like roundups. And I can't remember what the question was, but um yeah, consistency is such a tricky one. And I'm also like, don't force yourself to create content when you're not in the mood. I don't think
Yes.
it works for me personally.
Yes. I'm an organized person. I do tend to block off my calendar and I do section off time. I'm like from 1 to 3, we're creating from 1 to 2. So I do that all the time. But I also can look at my calendar and be like, I'm just not like I'm gonna sit here for 2 hours and I'm gonna do nothing. And whatever I do, I'm gonna go over it like a million times because I'm gonna hate it. So one thing I try and do is allow myself the space to be like, actually, I do not feel like creating today. I'm gonna find another time to do it. So I
Yeah,
think giving yourself that freedom to be like, actually, no, it's not going to work
agreed.
today.
And it's like as humans, you can't book time out to be creative. It's like
Mm,
when someone asks you to come up with an idea on the spot. I'm like, it never works. You need your time to let your mind wander. You need to do stuff that, like, you might not normally do. Like, it even comes back to like your everyday life. Sometimes take a different route to the station or allow yourself to just get lost.
mm.
But I think it paused there.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm having the bad internet day. It was great this whole time. Um, so I'm going to pause for a second. I think I'm going to turn my camera off, and I hope that will improve things a
You've
little.
frozen, but I can hear you.
Okay, so I've turned
Yeah,
my
I can
camera
hear you
off.
now.
Okay, perfect. All right, so I think
I've also turned mine off as well.
hopefully that helps. Um, so I think we'll
Yes, I
pick
can
up.
hear you.
Perfect. We'll pick up on. Oh, do you have any advice for content creators who want to achieve longevity?
Oh, this is a really tricky question because I'm like, in 5 years' time, you might not actually want to do content anymore. So
Mm,
achieving longevity may only be relevant for a brief period of your life. Um,
mm,
and content creating might be a brief period of your life as well. So like sometimes this is just an example, going out to dinner and recording your food. I've said to my friends, the camera has to eat first. So they know I can get my content, but also like um I don't know, it's a really tricky one. Achieving longevity, I guess it's defining what your ultimate goal is by doing content. Do you want to do content like full time forever? Do you want to go into something that's linked to content? Because I think being a content creator, you wear so many different hats, and kind of hear this all the time. You're the editor, you're the photographer, you're the cinematographer, you're doing writing, storyboarding. There's so many different things. So I think it's just defining what do you want this to evolve into.
mm,
But I think that kind of links back to the longevity question. And my advice is it's really difficult to like pinpoint it. I feel like you have to just allow yourself to sit down and just brainstorm, like, where do I want this to take me? Or do I just want to
mm.
do this where I'm like solely a content creator? Um, so I think that is my answer.
Yeah, I think that is very apt. Like, it's true because achieving longevity for longevity's sake is not really kind of a way to go.
Yeah,
So, kind of bearing in mind of like what you want to do, why you want to do it, and also I'm supposed to
exactly.
keep asking yourself those questions as well.
Yeah.
Um,
And also like being smart with the decisions you're making and not doing stuff because it's particularly for content. And I think it also kind of comes down to like um having your like content pillars and your brand pillars as well. Like um I think there's a way of just saying yes to the opening of an envelope. But saying
mm,
no to things just because you get invited to something doesn't mean you have to go. You don't need to become a yes man. I also think there's power in saying no. So like I think a couple of years back, I got offered a trip, but it just really wasn't me. Like
mm,
it was like UK travel and I'm a little bit more of international babe.
mm,
So I was like, this doesn't align with me, so I'm gonna decline. So I think being very, very secure in your decisions as a content creator will give you that longevity because you can't say yes to everything. You can't like be an ambassador for everything. You don't want to become like, I think this is an analogy I use. You know those Formula One racing jackets that have the bumper stickers all over them?
yes.
You don't want to become like that. So yeah, I think being clear on like your brand values, your content pillars, what you're going to show the world, and things and your boundaries as well, they all feed into one another.
Mm, yes, I think that is that's a good way of viewing it. To kind of basically knowing what you want, knowing what you're after, and like seeking it.
Yeah.
It's a good space to be in. And then this is a question that we ask everyone who kind of joins us on this podcast is if you could use only one social media platform as a creator forever, which would
Oh,
it be?
this one, I was reading this before I came on and I was like, I think I'm gonna have to stick to my guns. It's gonna be Twitter. Um,
Oh,
it's gonna be Twitter, which is not really like a content create a platform in my view, but you do technically post content on there in terms of
mm,
like your words. I just feel like it's the place to be. This is a really weird analogy, but people call it the smoking section of social media, and you just kind of see where things are happening, what people are talking about. Um, like you can involve yourself in conversations that you might never thought you'd have. Um, and you can also sort of like, it's just a place to like brain dump. For me, it's almost like a micro diary, and that's kind of how I use it, or like just to bounce ideas, it just feels like a lot more honest. I don't feel like I need to be this curated reality on Twitter, as I would do my other platforms, which are slightly bit more polished. So I'd say Twitter. And also, you can post video content, you can post audio content, you can keep up with the news, you can keep up with things in real time, whereas the other sort of socials are slightly behind. Like I always think things start on Twitter first.
Yes, I would have to agree. I think Twitter's like, because of the nature of doing like BBB and everything that goes into it, I've actually kind of pulled back from socials in like my personal life in general.
Yeah,
But the one platform I'm still on is Twitter. And for the exact same reasons as like, it does feel like everything happens there first.
agreed.
And I don't have to work as hard to be part of the community on there. So
Yeah, I
I
completely
do,
agree.
it's like, it feels more familiar to me. And also I can kind of be in and out. If I disappear for 6 months and pop back up, no one's gonna be like, where you been for 6 months? So
Yeah, exactly. Or like, you can tap out for like the weekends. I wouldn't really say I'm on Twitter much because I'm like, people are actually outside touching grass. It's
mm,
not really the one to be on. So like, um, yeah, Twitter is my fave, to be honest. You can just have just so many random conversations, seeing what's trending, like what the latest meme is. I personally feel like it's the place to be.
yeah. So would you say then that one is also the one you use for fun as well?
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely. Like I don't solely post just content on there because I am a person as well
Mm.
as like I'm a brand, but I'm also like a person. So like I wouldn't say like every post is here's the link to my blog. I'm a bit like, today I think I posted something so random, like, oh, random thought. Do you remember when you used to like make your history homework look old by covering it in coffee and then burning the edge?
Oh,
Like, you
yeah.
know, it's a place to just let your mind wander.
Yes, very much so. I'm so glad. 'Cause a lot of people don't say Twitter, and I'm like, you guys, it's the best.
I also think like in the social media landscape, it was like MySpace, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and then all of these other ones that have popped up in the past 7 or 8 years. So like I've had Twitter since 2009. So for me, I'm like very familiar with it.
Mm, yeah. Like once you're in it, I think maybe that's why. Maybe it's because it was like for me, it was like the first one that I was like really into. So
Yeah.
it just kind of I just got used to it and I kind of stuck with it. Um, but I do think it's an interesting space, and I'm kind of curious as to how it's going to develop because I know before everything happened with like the buyout and Elon Musk and stuff, I know they were working on like a Twitter influencer program. So I kind of don't know if that will ever come see the light of day, but it would have been interesting to see where that could have gone.
Yeah, because you don't really, there's Twitter personalities, is there Twitter influencers? I have no idea.
Yeah, that's the thing, because I was like, I think the phrase personality is more accurate than influencer, in my opinion,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to Twitter. But I'm saying that like I don't follow a bunch of like natural hairstylists, and if they tell me to buy anything, I'm like, all right. So
Yeah, exactly. No, it's very, very true. Like, I even tweeted something really randomly yesterday, like, "Oh, Eurostar sale," and I went back and looked at it, and I had like over 100 retweets. So I'm like, "Oh, okay, maybe I do
yeah,
have influence. Who knows?"
yeah. But I think there's that casualness to it that makes it not
Yeah,
feel like other platforms. So
doesn't
yeah,
feel forced.
yeah, I do. So yeah, glad to find like a fellow Twitter lover. Um, and so that is it from me in terms of like questions and everything. So can I just say thank you so much again for
You're so
joining
welcome.
us this evening. It's been like really great to like talk about content, and especially with someone who's been doing it for such a long time. And I think this is my first time ever like speaking to you like with my words, as in my
Yes,
voice.
I know. I feel like we speak all the time.
Yeah. So it's nice for me. So thank you again.
You're
And
so
for everyone listening, you can read Charlotte's blog. at www.memoirsmusings.com, and you can find her on TikTok and Instagram and Twitter. On TikTok and Instagram, it's at Char _x.o. Everything will be in the caption of this video. Thanks again. Have a good evening.
Thank you for having me. And I think my final bit of advice is don't let your best ideas die in your drafts. Just post it.
Yes.
Knowing what your brand pillars are. So, just post it, but just make sure you're happy with posting it.
Yes, I second that. That's kind of like something I've been saying to a lot of people recently is please stop leaving stuff in your drafts. Like post it today.
Yeah.
It's like I have this thing of like post it today or delete it. Those are your two options. Excellent. So thank you so much.
Thank you.